The smell of grilled chicken filled the backyard, mixing with laughter at my sister's family gathering. It was one of those late summer barbecues where everyone showed up in their best casual wear, pretending we all got along. My son Ethan sat next to me at the picnic table, quietly eating his burger. He was 15 on the autism spectrum and had struggled with social situations his entire life. But he was brilliant with computers, kind beyond measure, and had more integrity than most adults I knew. "So, Ethan," my sister Victoria said loudly enough for the whole table to hear, "how's school going? Still in those special classes?" Ethan nodded, not looking up from his plate. "They're good. I like my programming class." "Programming? That's nice," Victoria said in the condescending tone she'd perfected over the years. "Very practical. You'll always have something to keep you busy." Her husband Daniel chuckled. Their 3 kids, sitting at the far end of the table in their designer clothes, were absorbed in their phones. Perfect grades, perfect extracurriculars, perfect college prospects. Victoria never missed an opportunity to remind everyone. "Actually, I started Ethan just won a regional coding competition, beat out 200 other students." Victoria smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "That's sweet. Participation trophies are so important for kids like him. Builds confidence." "It wasn't a participation trophy," I said evenly. "He placed first." "Well, sure, in his category," Victoria said, waving her hand. "But let's be realistic. Your son will always need help, extra support, special accommodations. That's just how it is." The table went quiet. My mother pretended to focus on turning the chicken. My brother and his wife suddenly found their potato salad fascinating. Victoria's kids looked up from their phones briefly, then went back to scrolling. Ethan's hands stopped moving. His burger sat half-eaten on his plate. I could see his jaw tighten, that little tell he had when he was trying not to cry. "I mean, I'm just being honest," Victoria continued, emboldened by the silence. "We can't all be exceptional. Some kids need more help than others. It's nobody's fault. But it's important to have realistic expectations about the future. Right, Daniel?" Daniel nodded dutifully. "Victoria's just trying to be helpful. She volunteers at the school, so she sees a lot of different kids." "Exactly," Victoria said. "I see it all the time. Kids who need constant support, who'll probably never live independently, who'll always rely on family. And that's okay. That's what family is for." She laughed then, that tinkling laugh she used when she wanted to pretend she was being light-hearted instead of cruel. Several people at the table offered weak, uncomfortable chuckles in response. I looked at my son. His face was red, his eyes fixed on his plate. 15 years of people underestimating him, of assumptions about his capabilities, of being treated as less than. And here was his aunt, in front of the whole family, casually dismissing his entire future. "Maybe you're right," I said quietly, setting down my fork. "Maybe I haven't thought about it realistically enough." Victoria nodded, satisfied. "I'm glad you're being open to hearing this. I know it's hard, but it's better to face reality now than be disappointed later. Could you excuse me for a moment?" I said, standing up. "I need to make a phone call." I walked into the house, leaving my phone on the table. I didn't actually need to make a call. I needed to not say something I'd regret. I needed to breathe. I needed to think about what I was about to do. Through the kitchen window, I could see the backyard. Victoria was holding court now, probably elaborating on her educational philosophy. My mother looked miserable, but said nothing. Ethan had gotten up from the table and was sitting alone on the porch steps. I pulled my laptop from my bag, opened my email, and started typing. The next morning, my phone rang at 8:30. I was making breakfast when I saw Victoria's name flash on the screen. I let it ring. Then it rang again, and again. Finally, I answered. "What did you do?" Victoria's voice was shrill, panicked in a way I'd never heard before. "Good morning, Victoria. What's wrong?" "St. Augustine Academy called. They said the scholarship funding for all 3 of my kids has been withdrawn. Do you know anything about this?" I poured my coffee slowly. "Why would I know anything about your kids' scholarships?" "Because you—" She stopped. "Wait. That anonymous benefactor covering 70% of their tuition for 4 years. That was you. I don't know what you're talking about, I said calmly. Don't play games. St. Augustine costs $45,000 per year. We could never afford all 3 without that scholarship. They said the benefactor withdrew all funding immediately. That's unfortunate, I said, taking a sip of coffee. Have you considered public school? I hear they have excellent special education programs. There was a long silence on the other end of the line. This is about yesterday, isn't it? Victoria said finally, her voice tight. About what I said about Ethan. I don't recall you saying anything particularly memorable, I lied smoothly. I was just being honest. I was trying to help you set realistic expectations. And I'm being realistic about my own financial expectations. I've realized I need to be more careful about where I allocate my resources. Speaking of which, I should probably mention that I've also canceled the monthly transfers I've been making to your account. Another long silence. The $5,000? Victoria whispered. Yes, the $5,000 I've been depositing every month for the past 3 years. I believe that's $180,000 total, give or take. I kept excellent records if you need documentation. But that money was for… We thought that was… You thought it was what? Inheritance from Grandma? A trust fund? Oh, Victoria, that was me helping out my sister, who was always complaining about how expensive private school was, how hard it was to maintain the lifestyle you wanted, how Daniel's job didn't quite cover everything. I could hear her breathing heavily on the other end of the line. Oh, and one more thing, I continued. I've also informed the country club that I'll be canceling the family membership I've been paying for, the one all of you have been using. I believe that's about $15,000 annually. I'm sure you can work out a new membership on your own. You can't do this, Victoria said, but her voice had lost its conviction. I absolutely can, just like you can't expect people to keep helping you when you treat their children with contempt. I didn't mean. Ethan is a good kid, I was just… You were just what? Being honest? Being realistic? Funny how honesty only flows one direction in this family. There was a knock on my door. Through the window, I could see my mother's car in the driveway. Victoria, I have to go. Good luck with the school situation. I hear public school has wonderful programs for all kinds of students. Very inclusive. I hung up before she could respond. My mother was at the door looking worried and angry. Victoria just called me crying. She said you've pulled all your financial support. What's going on? Would you like some coffee, Mom? Don't deflect. Why are you doing this? I poured her a cup and handed it to her. Did Victoria tell you what she said to Ethan yesterday? She said she was being realistic about his future, that you took it the wrong way. Mom, she told a 15-year-old boy in front of everyone that he would always need help, that he'd never be independent. She laughed about it. My mother sighed. She didn't mean it that way. Then what way did she mean it? Ethan spent an hour crying in his room last night, so you're punishing her by taking away money she's been counting on. No, Mom. I'm stopping enabling someone who thinks it's acceptable to demean my child. Victoria has been living beyond her means for years. Those private school tuitions, that country club membership, the lifestyle she's been maintaining, it's all been subsidized by me. And she's been so confident in that support that she felt comfortable mocking the person providing it. But her children will suffer. St. Augustine is an excellent school. Her children will be fine. Public school is free and perfectly adequate. Millions of children receive excellent educations in public school every year. Or she and Daniel can figure out how to actually afford the lifestyle they've chosen. That's what adults do. My mother looked into her coffee cup. She called you vindictive. I'm sure she did. Did she call herself anything? Did she acknowledge what she said to Ethan? Silence. That's what I thought, I said. Look, Mom, I love Victoria. She's my sister. But I've been quietly supporting her family for years while she's treated mine as lesser, and I'm done with that. What do you want? An apology. I want her to understand that actions have consequences, that words matter, that you can't treat people like they're charity cases while you're actually the one being supported. My mother left shortly after, disappointed but no longer arguing. By noon, I had 6 more calls from Victoria, 3 text messages from Daniel, and a long email from my brother asking me to reconsider. I responded to none of them. Ethan came into the kitchen around lunchtime. "Mom, why is Aunt Victoria texting me? What did she say?" He showed me his phone. The message read, "Ethan, I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings yesterday. You're a very special boy. Please ask your mom to call me. She wants you to give her money back." I said simply, "The money you've been giving them? I saw the bank statements on your desk a few months ago." I did. Past tense. Because of what she said about me? Partly. But also because I was enabling her to live beyond her means while she looked down on us. Ethan was quiet. "Her kids are going to have to change schools." "Probably, or she and Daniel will figure out how to pay for it themselves. That's going to be hard for them." "Yes, but that's not your responsibility to worry about." He nodded. "She called me special in the text, like it's a bad thing." "I know, buddy. I'm sorry." "It's okay. I know I'm different." "But different doesn't mean less than. You taught me that." I hugged him then, this brilliant, kind, underestimated kid who saw the world more clearly than most people ever would. "You know what's funny?" he said, pulling back. "Aunt Victoria's kids, they're in my online gaming group. We play together sometimes. They're nice, but they're not actually that good at problem solving. I usually have to help them figure out the puzzles." I laughed, despite myself. "Really?" "Yeah, they're smart in school stuff, but they can't think outside the box. Everything has to be exactly like they learned it. They get frustrated when things don't follow the rules they expect." "Well," I said, "life rarely follows the rules we expect." That evening, I got an email from St. Augustine's headmaster. Victoria had gone to the school demanding to know who the anonymous benefactor was. The headmaster, I informed her that anonymous donors had every right to redirect their philanthropy, and if she had concerns about paying tuition, they'd be happy to discuss payment plans or recommend public school options. I'd actually been funding scholarships for 3 other families at that school too, not just Victoria's kids. Those scholarships remained in place. I wasn't punishing innocent children. I was just done subsidizing my sister's superiority complex. 2 weeks later, Victoria showed up at my door, no warning. She looked tired. "Can we talk?" she asked. I let her in and offered coffee. She declined. "The kids are starting public school next week, Jefferson High. It's actually better than I thought." "That's good. I'm sorry. For what I said about Ethan, I was wrong." I waited. "I've been thinking about how I've been acting," she continued. "I realized something. I was jealous. You've always been self-sufficient. You raised Ethan alone, built your business from nothing, never asked for help, and I couldn't do that. I needed help, and instead of being grateful, I resented you. So I tried to find ways you were failing, and Ethan was an easy target because he's different." She looked at me with tears in her eyes. "That's ugly, and I'm ashamed." I didn't respond immediately. I let her words sit in the space between us. "I'm not asking you to give me the money back," she said. "Daniel and I sat down and looked at our actual finances. We can't afford St. Augustine without help, but we can afford Jefferson. And maybe that's okay. Maybe my kids don't need a $45,000 education to turn out fine." "They'll be fine," I said. "Kids are resilient. I know you don't trust this apology. I know it looks like I'm just here because of the money, but I need you to know that I see what I did. I see how I've been, and I'm going to do better." I nodded slowly. "Okay? Okay. I believe you want to do better. Whether you actually do remains to be seen. But I believe you want to." She stood up to leave, then paused at the door. "Ethan really won that coding competition?" "He really did. He beat 200 other kids, most of them neurotypical." She smiled sadly. "I wish I'd asked him about it. Actually asked instead of dismissing it." "He's home. You could ask him now." Victoria looked surprised, then hopeful. "Would that be okay?" "That's up to Ethan." She found him in his room working on some code. I watched from the hallway as she knocked hesitantly on his open door. "Hey, Ethan. Your mom said you won a coding competition. Could you tell me about it?" He looked up suspicious at first. Then he started talking, cautiously at first, then with growing enthusiasm as he explained the problem they'd been given and how he'd solved it. Victoria listened and asked questions, genuine questions this time. It wasn't redemption. It wasn't full forgiveness, but it was a start. Sometimes people need to lose something before they understand its value. Sometimes they need to face consequences before they change their behavior. And sometimes the best gift you can give someone is not your continued support of their mistakes, but the opportunity to learn from their failures. Victoria learned that lesson the expensive way, but at least she learned it. As for Ethan, he's fine. Better than fine, actually. He's thriving in his programming classes, making friends online and building a portfolio. He knows his worth now, not because everyone tells him he's special, but because he's proven it to himself. And that's the only validation that really matters.
Thank you for taking the time to listen to today's story. I truly appreciate your comments, feedback, and thoughts. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. See you again in the next stories.